When I think about what community is, when I think about what the church was for many people, I think about community as a service. I know so many people right now whose passion was media, and if it weren't for their church, they wouldn't be able to pursue that passion. I know so many people whose passion is music, and if it weren't for their church, they wouldn't have a place to practice that passion. I know people whose passion is communication and finding ways to inspire and motivate other people. And if it weren't for their churches, church shouldn't be the only place that meets those needs. It shouldn't be the only place that nurtures our gifts, platforms our voices, and empowers our living. That's why Bridge City Global is building community and creating the space to help you keep rising. Join us October 25th or the 26th in Venice or San Diego, your choice. Our local Bridge City community is having their initial liftoff weekend. And as a way of celebrating, we're hosting our very first Rise event. This is for you. We're about to shed the weight of limiting beliefs and open ourselves to clarity, purpose, and possibility. Through powerful voices and intentional community, you'll not only rediscover your own strength, but also the belonging that comes when we choose to rise side by side. And for those interested in being a part of this global community, go ahead and tap in now. And you may get an invite to our Friday evening and Sunday morning activities while you're in Cali. Don't miss this moment. Add Liftoff Weekend to your calendar and be ready to rise. Register now.
Take another shot at me.
All right, man. Happy Sunday, everybody. How are y'all doing? How are you feeling today? Welcome into Sunday Sessions. If you're new, my name is Darante LaMar. You know, we've been doing this thing for, since March of 2024 is when we launched our first Sunday session on the channel. And so this has been absolutely amazing. So good to see you out there. I see Kyle out there in California. I see Wilson out there in Kenya. I see Bob from Mississippi, which we're going to talk a little bit about Mississippi because it's around that time. I hope y'all are doing well, man. Come on in. Make sure you share the stream. Make sure you like the stream. Today, we're going to have a very, very special conversation. We've been in a series, if you will, for the past 2 weeks that I'm just calling Friends. This is our Sunday Sessions Friends editions, if you will, where since October is so busy, literally the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be like in hyperdrive. But since October is so busy, this was an easy way for me to just take a break and have some conversations with some people who have been a part of this movement over the last few weeks. And it's just been incredible. Last week, we had a wonderful conversation with Zernial, which was absolutely amazing. This past Friday, and I don't know if y'all have caught that, but this past Friday, I had a conversation with Janine for World Mental Health Day. Man, that was a powerful conversation. I think my eyes stayed wet the majority of the conversation. It was so emotionally raw. Janine is amazing at what she does. And so today we're picking up in that same vein. Yep, I see somebody just demanded in the chat. Can I get a hell yeah? The conversation with Zernial was amazing. We've been having, a major part of this channel is creating conversations around things that matter. And y'all know me, my little old adage, it's the people, stupid. What matters? The people. And so it's always amazing to me when you have people that you can sit down, talk to, interview, learn a little bit about their life. And it's always interesting to me that as we're learning about others, we're always learning about ourselves as well. And so I love to create conversations that allow us to do that. And so today we're going to pick up on that steam. We're going to pick up on that same steam. I wanted to say steam. That doesn't feel right. We're going to say train. Maybe that's where I was going. Steam engine. Who knows? But we're going to pick up on that same stream of thought. How about that? And we're going to follow this up, and we're going to be talking to Robert today. Now, before we do, and y'all have heard me talk about Robert a lot over the past few weeks. But before we do, I do have a few announcements that I want us to jump into. Now, y'all have been hearing me announce this for a while, so it shouldn't be anything new unless you're new. And if you're new, hey, welcome in. But it is October, and it's literally, what's today? Today is the 12th, so that means this week, October the 16th, I'm going to be in Mississippi. I'm going to be at I'm going to be at Mississippi State University for an evening with Darante LaMar. That is me. We're going to be doing Confessions of an Ex-Pastor. You're going to have about 60 minutes of presentation time from me, where I'm going to be talking a little bit about what it was like walking away from the pulpit, walking away from my faith at the time, and determining who I would be over the next decade of my life and how that got me here. And then after that, there's going to be some really cool Q&A time there. So I've already kind of peeped out the auditorium. It looks beautiful. The campus is amazing. I've never actually been on the Mississippi State's campus before, but I took a little, we'll call it a Google Maps tour of it. And I was very pleased. So I'm super excited. I'm taking my whole family there. My kids will be able to do some touring of the campus while they're there. So we're going to make it a full-on trip. I would love to see you there. If you're anywhere, I'm driving. I think it's about a 6-hour drive for me. So if you're anywhere within a 6-hour radius, consider taking that trek with your boy in solidarity and meeting me there in Mississippi. I'd love to see you. All right. And so then right after that, the week after that, then I'm going to be flying to California. I'm going to be in LA and I'm going to be in San Diego, because Bridge City SoCal is actually kind of doing something. It's actually making that transition from being just an interest group to becoming somewhat of a community. And so we see something beautiful happening there, something vibrant happening there. So I'm going to be there from the 25th, 24th through the 26th. I got to get these dates right. Yeah, I'm going to be there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday is how that's going to work out. And it's really to, number one, help build that local community that's there. That's the liftoff portion. But we also have a ticketed event. For those of you who may not be connected to Bridge City, but you want to travel just to be a part of this, or you want to travel because you got some transformation in your life that you want, I promise you, this is going to be amazing. I don't want to say too much too soon, but you saw the promo. Make sure you register. Make sure you get there. All right. I think those are all of my announcements. So today we have with us a very special guest. Y'all have heard me mention him a few times over the past few weeks. He's pretty much the person that's been kind of leading the charge for Bridge City SoCal. We have a wonderful team of people growing there. We have a wonderful community growing there, and he was very useful as that catalyst to help get that spark started. We've had people in the California area for a while, but he was one of the first people who tapped in through the forum, replied to the emails that we sent after that, and then just followed through on some really simple tasks that have led to just, again, a vibrant community that's starting to find its own legs and find its own roots in the Southern California area. And the funny thing, though, is we can't even start there with Robert's story. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring him on with us. Robert, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. It is a pleasure to have you here. And we're going to jump right into this, man. Before I get in and grill you with all of my conversations, with all of my questions, will you give us a little introduction to who you are, where you come from, and just round us out to how did we get Robert on the team? How did Robert end up being here? And then I'll jump in and I'll do my Oprah Winfrey thing with you.
Yeah, that sounds great. So yeah, I'm coming at you all from San Diego, California, born and raised in LA. And my work in the world is largely known in the corporate culture world. As you can see my book there, The Culture Blueprint, The Guide to the High Performance Workplace. That's been a lot of my work. I came out of Zappos. If you've heard of Zappos.com, I was a culture strategist there, had various leadership positions, wrote a book about it. Now I travel the world speaking about it, all about how to create amazing workplaces, or any organization really, where people love to work. And it's just such amazing work I get to do with great organizations. And the funny thing about it is people would always ask me, they say, oh, you must get called into really bad cultures to improve them. And they never call me. It's like the messy people don't want to get clean. It's the clean people who want to get ultra clean. And so I tend to only work with great organizations and groups. And like Bridge City is one of them. It's got that good kind of vibe. And that's what I'm really attracted to, of taking something like really good and great and making it amazing. That's what a lot of my life has been about. And at the same time, I've got a pretty weird, crazy spiritual journey, if I can use that word even, of my life that we can certainly get into. But I've been in various religions. I've gone way deep into New Age type of stuff, even into some cults. and just like a real, somebody once called me a spiritual daredevil. Like I go in deep and then I get out and I take the lessons. I take the lessons, I take the fire from the gods and I go out and then figure out how I can use it in the world.
I love that.
And one of those is an invention that I created. It's called the X pill. And we may get into that. It's something where I bet we've got some Matrix fans out here. And I just was thrilled by the idea of the red pill and thought, why can't it be real? And thought, okay, I'm going to actually make a pill that I have here, which is an inert pill. It doesn't have any actually active ingredients in it, but it has an activation process to set an intention to it and communicate with the unconscious mind. And the subconscious and conscious mind work together. And people have used it in all kinds of ways. You can see it at nextpill.com. There's video after video of people using it to even cure diseases or quit smoking or quit alcohol. All kinds of case studies we have in there, even some celebrities who have taken it in there. So it's just a lot of fun. It's kind of a passion project of mine on the side. And,
Wow.
through this journey, and I'm keeping this short so that we can make sure that we just, Darante leads the conversation of where we want to go for this community. But, through that journey, I got involved with, after I was really disenchanted by self-help and all that focus on self, I saw people in a Christian church, a particularly charismatic one, where they were all seeming really, really happy. And so I got, very deeply involved with that, which was very strange for me, especially having a very Jewish background that I came from. People were really, thinking I was kind of nuts and out of my mind. And I got very into it, volunteered, helped out the community, was very deep into it, but was really stopped in my tracks when a friend of mine, very, very close friend of mine, said, "You don't seem happy and your life is not progressing. Are you sure this is what you want?" And it stopped me in my tracks because somebody who I really knew said it from a very non-judgmental place, just said, "Hey, can we check in a sec here?" Right. And that's when I started to catch some fire with these videos of the deconstructions movement and found Darante's channel and was just amazed by it, just like eating it up, a video after video. And if you haven't seen a lot of the videos here on this channel, what I recommend highly doing is click on the videos tab and click on the popular, because you'll see some amazing ones first, like the ones about how religion can be a cult, or how it's a big cosplay in the church. And it just kind of was like breaking up the denseness in my mind of what was going on. And it took time to really go through. I watched a lot of videos, but it gradually started to break me out of it to the point that I felt so free and liberated that I just had to contact Darante and said, dude, what are you up to? How can I help? How can we take this further? Because I think the work you're doing is great. I think you're liberating people. And I'll just close with that by saying that, the line that I think really got to me that Darante said was that it's the beliefs are not only subjective, but they change a lot. So how can we really truly connect deeply over something like beliefs? And what if it were possible to connect instead to becoming of what we want to become? And what if we connected human to human? I feel very much guided towards that as a mission. And I'm seeing other elements of my life, even what I think as I connect. I think you'll find this really funny, Darante, but in some ways I really still believe in a general concept of God, and that God directed me to this work and to you and to what we're doing here, and saying like, hey, this concept of like, hey, I gave you all what you need. You got what you need. You got the resources. You guys can help each other. And that's part of the mission that I feel really attracted to here.
Oh man, that is absolutely amazing. Okay, so we're gonna start with X-Pill then. That's because the funny thing about that is, and you and I talked about this before, but that was a very weird intersection, right? Because that meant I knew you before I knew you. So before you and I had ever talked, before I'd ever started doing my content, I'd been following Mind Valley years ago. And that's when I first came across your story. And I was like, this is absolutely phenomenal, just phenomenal to me. And so when you and I had our meeting and you mentioned it, like literally brought tears to my eyes because I'm a very emotive person. And so just because, kind of just felt like that moment of connection, right? Like, oh, snap, as you want to say back in it, like the stars aligned. What happened here? Like, wow. Did y'all feel that type of thing? But it was definitely very surreal for me. And I remember the first time I heard the story was from Vishen. And then of course I've got to hear it a little bit from you. But can you just kind of talk us through what you were going through that led you to creating that, the X pill, and what that first experience was like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I majored in film studies and production, and I very quickly realized I didn't want to be a film director because I didn't have great stories, and I wanted more. I realized I wanted my life to be like a movie.
Yeah.
And I wanted not only that, but you ever watch a TV show or a movie and you like wish those were your friends and wish you could hang out with them? And like,
Yes.
I felt that with the Matrix. I was like, I want this to be real. I want the red pill to be real. And
Yeah.
so what I did was I couldn't find any red pills, but I found red Tic Tacs, and I put them in prescription pill bottles and took 80 of these bottles with me to Burning Man. If anybody doesn't know what Burning Man is, it's a land of make believe. So anything goes there. People walk around naked, like
Oh
you can.
man.
In fact, I was able to shock the culture of Burning Man because it's so hard to do that because everybody's walking around naked or in costumes or
Yeah.
dragons. It's like nothing shocking
Oh
except
shit.
when I dressed up in a pure pressed black suit like I was an agent in the Matrix walking around. People were like, "What the heck is that?"
Oh man. Yeah. I can already see that as a mind fuck. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. So then I said, "Hey, I've got the red pill. Are you interested in?" And they would take the funny thing about it is you can't fool anyone with a red Tic Tac. It looks
Yeah.
like a Tic Tac. It's cinnamon flavored. So everybody knew it wasn't a pill with drugs in it or something, but they took
Yeah.
it and had these kind of mind-opening experiences. And I thought, okay,
Wow.
this is fun for the land of make believe. But then when I got home, a woman called me up and said, "Hey, are you that guy with the red pills?" I'm like, "Yeah, why?" And she's like, "Well, can you send me more of those bottles?" And I was like, "Okay, fine, but why?" And she said, "Because I'm a psychologist and I've been giving them to my patients and they're having huge breakthroughs." And
Wow.
that's when I knew it crossed over, into
Yeah.
the real world. And I
Yes.
thought, like, this is really real. And I started to just experiment with people and telling them that, and then saying, like, rather than just, taking the pill, setting an intention to it. And I put a
Yes.
Facebook group up. And one by one, taking that pill for that intention, people would make them happen in one way or another.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's when I literally called up a supplement company and said, I want to make these pills. And they said, wait a minute, you're making placebos. I'm like, yeah, they're placebos. There's nothing in them. And they said, that's illegal. And I said, what? And they said, yeah, like I was surprised I couldn't find any. They said, yeah, it's illegal. And I said, but I'm not going to make any claims, no health claims. And I'm going to put the ingredients right there on the bottle that says, brown rice, which is all it is. And they said, nobody's ever done that before. So I said, can I make it? And they said, yeah. And so
Wow.
the idea was of making it purple, because the idea of what if you took the red pill and the blue pill at the same time?
Yeah.
Right. And then it's been this wild journey of, I could tell you story after story of working with people where it went from this hour-long conversation to what's now a 10-minute activation. Very, very simple. Of like, why do you want this? What's the feeling you want? Feeling it in your body, just being very clear, and then taking it. And I'll just give you, I can give you many stories if you want, but I think one of the most interesting ones is like a woman used it to quit smoking.
Yeah.
And obviously it doesn't take away agency. You can always do what you want, but she took the pill with that intention, and we go into the why because she wanted to be more creative. And she says after it, you know what? Screw it. Lights up, takes one drag, throws up everywhere.
Wow.
That was that intense of a physiological change, because the placebo is the most studied drug in the world. It's like,
Yes,
but
it
it
is.
just hasn't been used in this context. So I keep being amazed by the ways people use it to really create change in their lives.
Well, see, there's two things that I love about that, and I'm going to ask a question about how do people respond to this. But two things that I love about it is, number one, the honesty, right? Like, you're just letting people know that, hey, this is what this is, and then the fact that it still works with that. That's the beautiful thing to me, because once I was deconstructing, when I was in the church world, like heavy in, I was a worship leader, I was a youth pastor, I was a revivalist, so I was a part of these very ritual-based experiences that often led to these phenomenal moments of self-reflection, self-awareness, even just that stick-to-itiveness that people typically can't find. And of course, for years, I would attribute that to, this is God, this is the Holy Spirit, this is Jesus. But after a while, I did start realizing, like, I think we're just kind of manufacturing these moments, and that we're attaching intention to it. And that's what's producing these moments. which is what led me to placebo about a decade ago, and just realizing how powerful placebo could be in use. And that was one of my desires. Like, I just wish we could. One of my desires was, I wish that we could be honest in church about what was happening. And so instead of me just telling you, hey, you're having this experience because it's this, I would love for us to be able to explain to people, like, hey, this beautiful experience you're having, this is what's causing it, and this is how you can reproduce it anytime you want to. This is how you can manufacture it. And so that is what I love about this. And Dart Like Delirium mentioned in the chat, is like, it's the magic in the mind. Which that gives me the second thing that I love about it, is that it is intentional ritual. So number one, we're being honest about what it is to people. No, this is placebo, which that actually helps people keep their agency. That helps them understand, that reinforces somewhere within them that, damn, I'm doing this. Now this pill and it's really the ritual, right? It's this idea of, I'm going to put some intention on this, and you're holding yourself accountable. It's like a more active affirmation. Now, I have to ask, now I can see people at Burning Man giving it a chance because everybody high and naked. How do people now respond to you, respond to this now? You know, like when you introduce this, because this has actually outgrown Burning Man now, to the point where you've spoke on this at places, you've helped people you've taken teams through these things now. Why are people coming to you for these pills, man?
Yeah, I realize, and I've always thought people would say, oh, you're going to have so many competitors so soon, and it's been years, and I haven't. And I think it's because of the story. Like, you hear the story, and there's a longer one, people want to see it on YouTube, but people feel like they're a part of a story when they hear it, and that it's not so ridiculous then, or it is kind of ridiculous in a way, but it's fun. And the interesting thing I realized is that what's fascinating to me is that one of the slogans we used for it is belief not required.
Yes.
Because what I noticed is, like, it was my friend David. He said, I want to take it. He had the sales goal, and he said he was about to take it. He was holding it, and he goes, Rob, I don't want to take it because I don't believe in this, and I don't want to ruin your whole thing. I don't want to be the guy that it doesn't work for. And I said, let's just see what happens. And he takes it, and tears are streaming down his face. And he just looks at me and goes, what's happening to me? And I said, I don't know, but something's working here. And that's when I realized it's not about belief. It's about willingness. Man. He had the willingness to do it. And because there's the willingness, there's actually a subconscious belief that it'll work. The people I know who truly don't believe in it, they won't even talk to me. They won't even listen. They won't listen. But the people who said, like, okay, I don't even believe it, but I'm willing to take it, it's worked for, because I think that the difference, you said ritual. I think there's a big difference between, lighting a candle and stating an intention and swallowing a pill, because the pill, you can't take it back. It's like the Matrix. It's a red pill. And so the unconscious mind says, oh, whoa, we are serious about this?
Committed to this.
I didn't think you were that serious. Now I know you're serious.
Yes. I love it. Well, and I think you hit on something that is probably often overlooked in this sense, is that it's fun. And we do want to have fun. Like, even me to this day, grown man, anti-superstition, don't believe in bullshit at all. If I'm walking through automatic doors, I'm waving my hands in front of it like I opened it, because it is fun. And those things they tap into this sense of creativity and power and fun within us. And we need that. We need that permission. We need that access. And I think that's one of the reasons people do have that emotive response, because it's like, finally I can participate in something and I don't have to leave my mind at the door. I think like that's amazing to me. So another thing I didn't want to hit, because all this starts with you liking The Matrix. And the phrase you used, and I love, is that human to human connection, right? So what was it about The Matrix? We know this pill was fascinating, but what was it in the human to human connection aspect about the Matrix storyline that really caught Robert? Like, and where were you in life when you first came across this story?
Yeah, I remember I saw it in New York City. It was, back when going to the theater was like an event. It was just awesome. And I think it's like a modern day myth, the way the Bible's a myth. you
Yeah.
know, and it's like, even if it's not real, it just resonates. It's like simulation theory that we're somehow in a video game right now. And it
Yes.
just made that, I had that feeling since being a kid, like this just doesn't seem real. Like, am I really
Ooh,
here? And
yeah.
I always had that kind of sense. And I think that, we're talking about the human to human is just how much the relationships are key in that movie.
Yeah.
Like the mentor relationship of Morpheus, the love relationship there, the friendships, like,
Yes.
it's that kind of bonding that made it worth it. It was just him, and then he accomplishes these big goals. There's no movie there. There's no excitement. There's nothing
Yeah.
interesting. But this is one of the things this is one of the reasons I love working with Bridge City, is because I'm a speaker. I'm on the road. I've spoken for 15 years. I don't get a lot of teamwork.
Yeah.
And the opportunity to be with team, I think it's just amazing. It's just awesome.
Wow. Now that felt good to hear, because that's the reality. And I think a lot of us don't even know how to articulate that,
Mm,
right? We get so siloed in our work, and our work can be very meaningful. It can be things that really makes us feel good about ourselves. But there is something, again, Daniel Dennett and Emil Durkheim called it the collective effervescence. There is something,
mm,
this vibe, this emergent property that happens when we're working together with others. Just when our species is united by a mission, and that mission pulls us together in a weekly rhythm, any type of weekly routine where we're seeing each other, checking in, it really does something to us biologically, psychologically. That is absolutely amazing. So
mm,
that's beautiful to hear. Okay, so we're gonna back up a little bit. You were at Zappos, and
mm,
I'm like, whoa, okay, because I don't, that part I didn't know until much later, right?
mm.
So I should be more nosy than I am. I'm not as I should definitely be more nosy. But I was like, oh yeah, I know what Zappos is. This is wild. So now you helped kind of create the culture engine that made Zappos a household name. And how did you get into this line of work? Which I'm gonna preface this by saying this is fascinating for me, because when I got my first degree, one of the research papers I wrote was on a man by the name of Reed Hastings. And at the time, he was the CEO. Is he still the CEO of Netflix? But at the
Mm.
time, he was the CEO, and he was in a lot of trouble because he was making a lot of changes, and people thought the company was about to tank. But what I was studying was his leadership style.
Mhm.
And one of the things that absolutely fascinated me about him is that he instituted a we hire adults only policy at
Hmm.
Netflix. And he said he did that because he didn't want to choose people's schedules for them. He didn't want people having to ask to go to the bathroom, or having to ask to go to lunch or anything. What he wanted to hire people who understood the assignment and had the autonomy to figure out how much time it would take them to get it done and organize their schedule around it. If you needed to go somewhere, go. You needed to take some extra time, do it. Your work is done, is good. And that, it was at that time, it was kind of unheard of in a corporate
Mm.
space to like, what are you doing, guy? But I love the way that he framed it. I love the way that he presented it to his board, and the way that they communicated it to the team. And I love ultimately the produce of that, because it created a healthier, happier work environment.
Mhm.
So that's not something that you run across every day, where someone's passion is to do that. It's to, like, hey, you can get a bunch of high school students together, a bunch of college students together, and say, what's your passion? What do you want to do? I'm almost willing to bet my whole life that nobody is going to say, yeah, I want to make the workplace happier. So how do you get there? Like, what has to happen for you to get there? Tell us that story.
Yeah,
Take
it's
us
a
there.
great question. Totally great question. Yeah, it was an interesting just cascade of events, because I had launched what some have called the first co-working space in America in Washington D.C.
Ooh,
About the year 2000, and I found I was running a web development company at the time, and I found that I loved helping out the businesses at the co-working space, and then I
yeah,
realized there's this whole world of coaching, business coaching, and I went to Georgetown University's leadership coaching program, and I found I loved being trained as a coach, but oddly enough, I didn't like coaching, because I'm sure you'll resonate with this. Like,
Mhm.
one-to-one doesn't scale. It
Yes,
does not scale, and I love big. I want to scale, right? And I thought,
come on.
okay, like organizational culture. That's where I see like personal transformation on a big level happening. Like the company
Wow.
is like a
Yes.
vessel for that in a lot of ways.
Yes.
Right. So I went and met people, and I could not get a job in it for the life of me. Not for
Man.
the life of me. And I was it's interesting. There's a whole series of events where I didn't have a job. I didn't know what to do. And I only knew one thing was clear to me. It's hilarious, but it worked, which was all I knew was I wanted to be a spinning instructor, like an exercise instructor.
Wow.
And everybody thought I was nuts. There was no money, especially back then, no money in it. But
Yeah.
the thing is, it gave me great energy. I got to be a DJ, I got to be a coach, I got to work
Man.
out all day, every day, right? So, and I
Yes.
used that great energy. And what I did was I poured that into there's a book called Tribal Leadership that I became the marketer for. And I got in touch with Tony, the CEO of Zappos, sent it out to him. He loved it. He called me and the authors over there. So we go over there, and it was just kind of a great meet and greet. We talked about the book and everything like that. But this is the part of the story I never tell anyone. So this is for your audience here. I don't usually do it to mine. But I went up to Tony at the event. They had a happy hour, and by happy hour, it was better than like most weddings I've ever been to. It was 4 p.m. on a Wednesday, because we got accused of being a cult, but it was actually an anti-cult in a lot of ways, because picture it this way. Cult-like is it takes you away from friends and family, where we threw the party at 4 p.m. on a Wednesday so you could go home to your friends and family.
There you go. Yes.
Right? So people are just drunk out of their mind, like karaoke, skits going on. They're doing awards. It was just fabulous. And then I'm like, where's Tony? Where's the CEO? And I go and I see him talking to somebody. And I say, Tony, that's David D'Angelo. You probably don't know who that is, do you?
It does not ring a bell.
David D'Angelo is embarrassed to admit it, but he basically his book was called Double Your Dating. He's like a pickup artist expert.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right.
And so Tony and I had a shared love of his work, because we were both gawkward people who wanted to figure out dating. And so he and I got to know each other, and he had this vision. Zappos was definitely doing well before I got there, and the culture was really gaining a lot of steam. But he had this idea to productize culture. He said, how can we make the culture itself a product? And I said, oh my God, this is amazing. And I sent him idea after idea after idea on how to do that. And he said, well, do you want to come here and do that? And I said, hell yeah. And it took 8 months of proposals and meetings and going back and forth, negotiating, all that stuff. I finally get in there and had this vision. He had the vision to do it as a website, a video website where we would sell subscriptions. And nobody was buying it. It was not working at all. And then we had the idea to do an event where we would just open up the doors and bring people in and talk and make them part of the culture and party with them. And we did the first one, and it was a beta one, and it was a hit. And then we opened up a bigger one, and this is hilarious. This is how I accomplished it. Basically, is it somehow got to Tony that I had sold out the event. I had sold 2 tickets, and my boss there at the time, Aaron, he said. Tony told the board of directors you sold it out. He said, you are selling this out. And I just started dialing for dollars with my partner, Donovan. And we would say, Darante, who do you know who can afford, and this is way back in the day, $5,000 for 2 days at our company. And but I had to do it, hat over the fence, right? And so we sold that out, and I knew we had a hit when we ran the first event. People loved it. And right when we ended the event, I saw credit card up in the air, guy going like, I want for my team, book me now. And I was like, we got a hit on our hands right now.
Yes. That's amazing. That is amazing. I love that. I've worked for quite a few different places in my life, and that's always been a passion of mine, to figure out how can we make the workplace more people-centric. And it wasn't just so that I can have more fun at work. It was because I did notice that when me and my coworkers are having more fun, more work actually gets done, better quality of work gets done, and then we actually care more about the work that we're doing. And to me, like, that's how, that's a healthier environment. So every environment I've been able to be a part of, I've tried to contribute that.
Yeah,
So
one
now,
quick note on that.
yes,
The thing I realized, and I think this would be interesting for us to really consider in terms of building the culture of Bridge City. The thing I
yes,
realized of the very, very high performance teams was they had the ability to very, very quickly switch between fun
yes,
and hard work. It was like I would just notice there would be roarious laughter, and then all of a sudden we're back at work. And
yep.
then that shifting between the two, that's where the skill really lies.
Oh, yes, yes. Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit then. Like when you think about work, what is work to you? Because I realize for some people this is a word that doesn't always make them feel good. Now, obviously, it's a part of my vocabulary now. If y'all see the office that I started in, you watch some of my older videos, you can see the panels behind me. Do the work, do it right, do your best, do the most. That's literally what I kind of live by. But work is a hard word for some people, and so what does work mean for you? How did you get to this place? How would you describe your work ethic, and how did you get it?
Oh, geez. I mean, it's half character defect, honestly. I mean, I've found that I've been very privileged. I mean, I've got I've had these amazing roles, and to me, it's directly tied to passion and especially like I said before, it's the people you get to work with. In a way, like I just started to notice that one of the, I mean, this is non-work story, but it just makes the point of where you remember the show The Apprentice by
Yes,
Donald Trump.
I do.
So I cried out for that, and to do that, I was in DC at the time. We had to go wait in line at 4 a.m. in Washington DC in the freezing cold. And this, you won't believe, I had the best time out there because we had a group of us and we were just cracking jokes, freezing our butts off.
Yep.
And that's when it just hit me. It's like you can be doing anything. If you have the right people you're around, it can be a good time.
Yeah, that is 100% true. I've seen that happen so many times, man. Okay, so you go from Zappos and you're there, you're working to help them build the culture, and then y'all end up founding Zappos Insights. Now, how does that transition end up coming?
That was actually the thing I was brought in for. That's what it was called, the idea of productizing culture, because
Wow,
the thing,
so that is, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So what was happening at the time was the only other companies that were doing something like this were Disney and Ritz-Carlton. And what you would do, you go take their class, and then you kind of tour the hotel, and then you come back to a class, right? But what we decided to do was like, what if we made them a part of the culture?
Yeah.
So this was the brilliant idea of my partner there, Donovan, who said, he said, why don't we put them on the phones to overhear calls? And I said, you're out of your mind. Like customer service calls, who's going to want to?
Yeah.
After 2 hours, we couldn't pull them off the phones.
Wow.
Because I said, what were you guys doing? They said, we got to watch you. Because for those of you who don't know, Zappos became #1 customer service, according to American Express's customers. And to this day, if you call there, it's amazing service, all kinds of records set with it. People who are not even making a lot of money just delivering world-class service. And so they got to have this experience. And that's when it hit me, like the experience trumps the content.
Yeah.
Content kind of opens the door, but experience is what really changes people.
Yeah.
And we were like, I think the only game in town, because that's when I told Tony, the CEO, when we launched it, he said, oh, we can make this pay for it. So we can cover our costs. I said,
Yes.
Cover our costs. Tony, we're going to charge a lot of money for this. You can't just walk into Nike and say, let me be a part of your culture. We're
Right.
letting them in the door. Like, we're going to charge a lot for this. And he just lit up, and then we started selling it out.
That's amazing, man. That's dang, this is good. Okay, so there's going to be a lot of people who are watching this who are at different phases in their lives, and some of them are going to be like, I could never do anything like that. That's unrealistic for me. I have this barrier, this barrier, this barrier. Do you think that for you, life was just set up for these things to be easier for you? Or did you have you had to deal with some obstacles, some setbacks? I know you mentioned that you found tried hard to get a job in this arena and could not get one. And you were at the point where you were being energized by spin cycling, and so how do you, for someone out there who is already given up on the idea of ever being able to do something like this that has impact in a company, that what kind of advice could you give them? What kind of
Yeah.
insight could you give them?
Yeah, to answer your question, I both not only did I come from the privilege, but I messed it up on my own. So what I didn't
Ooh.
say from that story was going into that job, I was, I believe, 60 grand in debt. Didn't have a job, didn't have a car, and because I had tanked it on a business I tried to launch myself and got deep, deep, deep in the hole. So I was really, I realized then that zero isn't bottom. You can keep going lower. You can
Yeah.
find ways to just get
Ooh.
lower and lower, and that you kind of define rock bottom. And thankfully, I found, because this is what happened to me. Honestly, is that I was sitting there. I'm looking like I had so much going for me. I have not. I have below nothing now. I've got 60 grand in debt. I'm below zero. And I
Yeah.
said to myself, how did I get here?
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? I wonder if it was my ADD. Like it was
Yeah.
80 because you just follow things and zoom and squirrel and spend on this and spend on that.
Yes.
And so I cracked open my book on ADD, and I found there was a 12-step program for ADD. And I go, wait a minute. If there's a 12-step program for ADD, there must be one for money. And I found there's the Debtors Anonymous, and I saw there
Wow.
was a meeting, and I go there, and I remember on my first meeting, at first I was thinking, oh, I'm not like these losers. I'm gonna figure out what and I'm gonna get out of here, and then I started to see everybody in the room was really smart. People with MBAs and
Yeah.
JDs and successful business people. I'm like, wait a minute, I should not be so cocky here. This is something going on
Yeah.
deeper. And then, just like in AA, you get sponsorships. And there's this one guy who said, I was down and out, 100 grand in debt. And he said, now I have a 6-figure salary, 6-figure savings, and I work about, 5 hours a week. And I said, you're my guy. You are my sponsor. And, I really worked that program, like going a lot, making the phone calls. And, I'll tell you, if anybody's resonating with this at all, I mean, not only do I recommend that, but I'll tell you the thing. And I was thinking we might even include this potentially in a Bridge City course. If we talk about money, right?
Yes.
Is the thing that shifted it for me was simply becoming more conscious. And I don't mean that in a new age term. I mean, I literally had to just start tracking everything on a spreadsheet and said, this is the money I have. This is what's coming in. These are my debts. And every day I looked at that and updated the sheet. Every day I looked at it and updated the sheet. And I can't exactly make the connection to how or why, but there was something about, you get what you pay attention to, right?
Yes.
And I wasn't paying attention to it. I was just having this attitude of it will always be there.
Yeah.
Right. And I that ran out. Ooh. So by actually focusing on that, that's how I started to pull myself out of that hole. And I'd say that. So it was those two things, that I said there. One is the money consciousness and paying attention, but the other was doing something, because I believe you get hired, a lot for emotional reasons.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it at the time, but by focusing on something that brought me joy, which was that spinning, I was able to bring that good energy to Zappos to get the job.
That's so good. That is really good. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it sounds like there really is no shortcut when it comes to this life. The happiness has to start with you. The fulfillment has to start with you. The peace has to start with you. And that's what becomes attractive in any sense, whether it's romantic, whether it's business, friendship. That's what becomes attractive. That's that force. And it takes, it takes a lot for a lot of different people, because I had a similar situation. I can remember two defining moments for me as far when it comes to money consciousness. One is while I was still pastoring and my church was going through a really, really bad time. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. And I was I went to visit one of my mentors. And while I was there, he asked me a very simple question. If I wrote you a check right now to get you through the rest of the year, how much would you need? And I could not answer that question. Like I couldn't even begin with a number, Now, he was definitely a jackass. And so he was like, Sita, you just lost that whole check because you didn't know how much you needed. which I don't think he was planning on writing the check anyway. He's just a jerk like that. PMJ, I hope you're watching. But we cool. But that did teach me a lesson, though. Or at least started the lesson. It took me a few more years to really get it. But I did have to sit with that moment of like, are you that disconnected from where you are financially? Are you that disconnected, and why? But it was several years later, actually 3 years later, 2017, which I've shared this story frequently, where I was sitting down and I was like, dude, why are you always broke? You are like, you're way too smart to be this broke. You have way too many skills to be this broke. What's really going on? We really need to look at this. And the answer was like, I'd never tried not to be broke. Like it wasn't a goal. Not being broke was not a goal. Being financially stable was not a goal. Being financially free was not a goal. I had all of these other big goals in my life that were more important than my financial security, than my financial well-being. But that wasn't the only place of health that I was ignoring. I was obviously over 500 pounds at the time. So it was also my physical health, because I had all of these other goals that was more important, which is one of the things that religion does to you, or that one of the things that religion can do to you. It's not not the only things that does it, but it makes everything external more important than anything internal. So I was more concerned about saving souls. I was more concerned about feeding the homeless. I had all of these good things, and this is what was so confusing about my life.
Wow.
How am I doing all of these good things?
Yeah.
And my life is still falling apart. And it was like, you can't overlook the math, friend. The math still counts. Like, you have rent, you want to get to a place where you have mortgage, you have brought children into this world, which means like I started speaking very mathematically to myself, and that was like, hey, you made life cost more for you. You got to deal with that. That's a decision you made. You did it. You made life more expensive for you.
Yeah.
You now have to recalibrate your understanding of the world to make up for that difference. But the good news is you can. It may take some time, but you can. And that lit a fire under me. That, like, it was just like, okay, yeah, I still got a long way to go, but man, I'm not looking back. And it put me in a place of where there were just less excuses. Once I realized how many things I hadn't tried to do, how many things I hadn't aimed for, how many opportunities I completely just overlooked because I had all of these other big missions that were really important to me. And I said, it's time for your life to be your most important mission, so that you can support the other ones, right?
Wow. That's great.
Man. So speaking of mission, like what is your mission now? What drives you? What gets you out of the bed? What excites you right now?
Yeah, I'm my obsession now. It's my next book. It's what I'm working on. It's all about games. Everything around games right now is, and I discovered this. I did not think of myself. This is the weird part about it. I don't even like games, but I realized there's reasons why I didn't. One is I realized it's not about the game. It's about the people you play with.
Yes.
Right. That's part of it. And then the other is I always felt games were just too fantasy oriented and not really grounded in reality. But that all changed when I was consulting for a cultured company, and they had a the sales arm. They had to go through these 50-page lifeless script just for 45 minutes. Read the script.
Oh, yes.
And I saw like the chart of emotions they go through during the call, and I just looked at it and I just go, this is a game. Like, there's a game in here. And it took me 2 months. But one by one, I started to like see the pieces of it, and I created a board game for the company, for the sales agents to use on the call. And when I showed it to other people, they said, the amazing thing about this game is that it's not a simulation. It's a way for you to play real life.
I like that.
And so now I'm working on a book called Make It a Game, and I'm developing all these games that are becoming like an interface for life. So I've got games around productivity. Yes. So it's not just go play a game, like the game is helping life, right? I'm developing a game around dating. So that's become my obsession, and I've started to see how this lens of everything being a game, because it's defined differently. Some people define it as having a goal and a challenge and things like that. But there's one organization, Landmark, that said anytime there are rules, you're in a game.
Yes.
Anytime there are rules. And so, kind of like the Matrix, like what did Morpheus say? There are some rules you can bend, some rules you can break.
Yes.
And figuring that out, figuring out what the game is. And do you know the rapper Charlie Tuna?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a line in one of his songs, I think it's great. It says, "It ain't about the game. It ain't about the game. It's how the game plays you."
Yes.
And so that's where I see just a lever for change, especially because, I went into a film student thinking like, okay, create a film and this thing lasts so long, but films lose their relevance. People have been playing games for thousands of years.
Yes.
And so it's within our psychology of who we are. And so that's like my next 10 years is studying and designing games.
Oh, I love that. Well, I mean, just number one, gamification and the ability to build economies may be the defining hallmarks of the human species.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we can go all the way back to our earliest board games, like, because the whole purpose of games, like, we got free, and so like we got free from life. We're not having to be chased down by wildlife anymore. So now we play games for fun.
Yeah.
But games we created games to learn how to better interact with the world around us, to practice life, to do life, to get better at it. So gamification is amazing. And then I was even thinking while you were talking about some of the movies that have been the most pervasive in culture, that have been able to continue, like Star Wars. These are movies that have been successfully translated into games.
Yes.
And so much so that even the gaming stories become a part of the official canon of the stories themselves, which is fascinating. That's something, excuse me, that's something that I've really been watching ever since we've gotten into generative AI and our language learning models. That's something that I want to see. Is almost like what the X-Men had. Like the Kree had. That's what I'm hoping for, because I think gamification is probably one of the most overlooked tools in education, and being able to put us into simulated places where we can explore the world at our own kind of free will. Like, to me, and that just might be because I'm a geek, I don't know, but I feel like that would just be everything to me.
Yeah.
And I just now there's a lot of ways that we use AI that's absolutely like, oh no, don't do that. But I think there are a lot of great, healthy ways that we can integrate and being able to offer more gamified learning experiences. And when I say learning experiences, I'm not just talking about education. I'm talking about personal development, personal awareness, personal exploration. That is learning. I'm talking about skill development. That's learning. Imagine, because like there are certain people who always wanted to imagine themselves in different types of lifestyles, but they've never even been exposed. Imagine if everybody in your family has only worked jobs like Walmart or the local chicken factory and things like that. And there's a world out there where there are people who are executive assistants, there are people who are bankers, there are people who are payroll specialists, accountants, there are all different types of roles, but you don't know anybody who could ever even show you what a day in a life is like in that world. You wouldn't know where to start with the application process, but we are getting to that place where, all right, you've never had it before, plug into this game and there you are. Now you can give yourself 3 years of experience in whatever career you want in the next 6 months or the next 6 minutes,
Yeah.
I think that's going to be transformative for people.
Totally.
Like, see, now you're going to get me talking. I don't get to talk about geek stuff a lot, but that is no lie. Okay. And this is supposed to be me interviewing you, but no lie. That's what led me to like finally realize I have to be honest about who I am. I was an atheist for 10 years and would only tell people who were close to me. For everybody else, I tried to live like in this synthesized place between science and spirituality. Just tried to live in this little sweet symphony zone. But I realized it was robbing me of connection. It was robbing me of opportunity. I think most people know I taught myself how to code starting back in 2017. And in 2022, I had this idea that I wanted to start working on this app called Mastermind, because at the time, Mastermind was my mentorship program. And I'm like, I can only motivate these people so much. They need exposure. They need more,
Mm.
And I started thinking, I'm like, well, technologically wise, I don't have to like make field trips and take them places or anything like that anymore. I don't even have to seek out the world's best gurus and make that available to them anymore. The information already exists.
Mm.
If I can build a platform that they can experience that information with, that they can question it, that they can have conversations with it, then that might be more effective. And I mean, like, I went down a rabbit hole of like 2 years of figuring out ways how I wanted to design it, what I wanted to show. It would, I'm not going to geek out too much, but like you'd get like almost like a neural network of your thoughts every time you engage with it. So you can kind of see what's really on your mind, what's most important to you, because we're not always as self-aware as we think we are. Like sometimes it takes our friends, kind of like the example you gave earlier, to kind of check in and say, I don't think you're really happy with this. That's kind of like what that mind network kind of helps you do. You say, oh, I really thought this was on my mind.
Yeah.
But now that I'm looking over this, it seems like I spent a lot of time talking about this or thinking about this or engaging this. But I worked on that for 2 years straight by myself. And I reached out to a lot of different people. I was like, Darante, you don't have any friends that are programmers. I taught myself in a vacuum, but it's like, you also don't have any friends that care about changing the world. You don't have any friends who are interested in anything like that. And a part of that is your fault, because you put yourself in a closet and you haven't lived authentically.
Wow.
And so that's when I said, all right, I'm going to get on my YouTube channel and tell people who I really am.
Wow.
And that's literally what got me here, because I realized like I'm never going to be able to do any of the things that matter to me if I'm running from who I am or hiding who I am from the rest of the world.
That's awesome.
See, now look what you did. You done took over, man. Now let me stop. Okay. All right. So dang, this is good, man. Okay.
Yeah,
so
fun.
we're working together now. We got DLDD World Group. We have Bridge City. And then I had this interesting conversation with you either last week or the week before. And I said, hey, how about you just be head of product for us? I got to know what went through your mind when we had this conversation.
Yeah, I mean, it was certainly intriguing for me, because I do see I'm an inventor. I am a product guy, and I think I knew that I could be open and honest with you about it, because I have told you that, like, look, I'm not going to have this time forever to be, we got to concentrate and make my time really useful for this while I have it, right?
Yes.
So I was, because if we hadn't had that conversation, I'd be like, oh no, now I got to manage all kinds of expectations. But I think it was it was also a bit of a relief too, because I think I felt the weight of needing to really pull community too.
Yeah.
And a shout out to Ashley, who's really helping so much with that. Just a absolute like gift there of that she's part of this.
Oh my goodness.
And to be like, oh, like I kind of read it as almost like a permission for me to focus more on that, what you just said, than the community part.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. And again, that to me, that's the importance of people, right? The more people you have at the table, especially when you have people who you see are like ready to go and they're working. And again, major shout out to Ashley, just because ever since she's come to the table, girl has been on it, man. Woman has been on it. I don't know how to say it. Like, y'all get me right. But Ashley has been on it, and it's been amazing. And so the same week I had that conversation with you, I was able to have the conversation with her about taking over community. And I think, and I'm gonna have to get her on here to ask her, because I don't want to speak for her. I think she may have had the kind of same feeling. It's like, yes, now we have something that we can focus on. And I think you both saw how stressed I was getting. Like, and it was getting bad for me. Like Saturdays, I was like, every Saturday I was getting to the point where I was just like, I don't know if I'm gonna do this next week, but like we've not had y'all doing a lot yet, right? Like, it's not like a whole bunch going on right now, but just having y'all at the table has given me a lot more permission to chill. Like, I've been like, because I'll share this, a lot of the pressure that's on me comes from me. Right. It's me like, hey, you got to get this done. You got to get this done. Now I'm like, no, I don't have to get it done. I have a team. And it's not even, and I want y'all to hear this out there very well. It's not even that I have a team, they will do it. That's not even the thought. It's I have a team and they understand I am a person and that I have a life and that, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I have people, because like when it is just you don't have anybody to explain why this didn't get done. It's you and 60,000 people who are going to let you know how they really feel in your comments. You know what I'm saying? You don't have anybody who can be like, no, I get it. No, you've done a lot, this week. And so even though we haven't really went into grind mode or anything like that, just knowing that we have other people at the table helps me humanize myself in the work. It helps me tell myself like, hey, dude, you ain't got to get this done. You don't have to be, so that has been beautiful, just having y'all at the table. So I'm glad that kind of helped bring some focus. And because I think that's what it does for everybody. It gives everybody a seat and not feeling like I got to worry about what's going on in your seat or your seat. And it gives us room to give each other grace at the same time, because like we all know that like, no, we got real lives. We're like adults. None of us are college students at this moment. Like we have real lives, real responsibilities, real obligations. And we have things that we want to do. And a major part of Bridge City is about being life affirming, which means it shouldn't take away from the things we're trying to do in our lives. If anything, it should help empower those things. And that's what I would like to see. So now some people are probably going to get a little unsettling, right? Why does Darante want a head of product if he's so community driven? What when you think of product, and if you had to explain to anybody out there who's a part of our community, what does product mean in this world, in the work that we do? What does product mean, period? Because even as you were talking about Zappos, you gave us this wonderful picture of culture as the product for Zappos there. And, I use this terminology with DLDD World Group in Bridge City of community as a service. So when we're talking about product in the work of Bridge City Global, how would you see product, or how are you starting to see product?
The way I see it is it's essentially what's scalable without needing more bodies, more people.
Yeah.
So that to me is what a product is. And I really have a lens for it, to give an example is like when I said to you, hey, give me all the content of BC 101.
Yes.
And let me run it through something here. And then here's a video that makes it a little easier to, and I do that once, and then we can push that out and scale it. And then I can do the next product. Right. So to me, that's what it is. It's whether virtual or actually physical, because I do love physical products too. But it's essentially things that grow and scale without needing more people.
Okay, so and I want to put some legs under that a little bit so that people can see what that means, because many of you have been watching Sunday sessions. You've heard me talk about things like, man, it would change the game right now if we had X number of bodies, right? Y'all have pretty much heard me say that probably almost every week. If we just had 5 people making phone calls, or if we just had 10 people doing emails. But what Robert is saying is, there might be a way to where we can do these things without having to wait for other people to get them done. And that becomes absolutely attractive to me, because that means for the people out there who are attracted to this community, when they join, they don't get left, they don't fall through the cracks, because that's what terrifies me. As a founder, as a person who's building this thing, what terrifies me every day, like what I think about when I sleep at night, is how many people have joined this community over the past year and a half that fell through the cracks because we didn't have an infrastructure to catch them. That's like that drives me crazy. And it's not even just like, I'm gonna give you the selfish part. Like the selfless part is like, oh, that's somebody else we could have helped, somebody else we could have encouraged. But like the selfish part is that could have been a fucking unicorn. That could have been a superstar. That could have been the person who was going to help shake up everything we were doing, and there was nobody to shake their hand. There was nobody to open the door for them. Which is why a major part of, as we're building the Bridge City experience, the member experience is like everything for me. The members have like the member experience, the visitor experience, the guest experience, anybody who comes in contact with us. I want them to feel like a cross between being at Disney World and saving the world, like I want that type of thing,
Yeah, I love that.
No, this is great because even I shudder sometimes at product. I'm obviously cool with it. I made the offer, but even sometimes using the word, I'd be like, oh dang, should I have said that? And it's like, but no, I love the way you just explained that. It's the way to scale things without the need for more bodies.
Mhm.
And for a movement like this, it is so necessary because everybody is so new.
Mhm.
And you run the risk of having to put too much pressure on people too soon if
Mm.
we don't have those products that we can scale out. And we say, nope, we now have a video that the moment you join, you have this real fun, engaging way of learning something about the community immediately.
Yeah.
Maybe we have these, and now because we have someone handling product and someone handling community, we have when you come up with this product-based idea, we have Ashley on the community side who can think about, okay, how can we build this into our community roadmap? How can we build this into our onboarding experience? And even, to take it a little further, and this is kind of giving people some behind the scenes stuff here, but even taking a little further and say, let's get some beta users for this particular thing we're going to roll out. And instead of you having to go hunt down who can those people be, we'd already have someone on community where that's their thing. And Ashley can be like, oh, actually, I've been talking to Kyle, I've been talking to Essence, I've been talking to Natalie, and I think they'd be great for this. And it just makes it easier for everybody.
Totally.
That's beautiful. Where do you see Brits? Where do you see? Okay, hold up. We haven't talked about SoCal, and SoCal is kind of what started this. Like this is how's it going in SoCal right now? What are you and what are your honest perspectives of how this has happened? Like I think y'all started the group in July, the WhatsApp group.
Yeah, I think around there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this has been wild because like discovering your videos and seeing this, and I think I had emailed you or something, and I there were calls that were because I was like, okay, I'm going to be a patron now. I'm going to get on these calls, and I said, hey, where's the calls? And you're like, what calls?
I was so confused.
And then I'm like, all right, what do you need? And then you told me about the SoCal people, and I said, all right, I'll reach out to them, give me the list, I'll hit them up, and then we started getting people in the WhatsApp, and then I just realized I've kind of keep plussing up these things. First it was just like, okay, let's get together WhatsApp, and then I'm like, Darante, come out here, and you're like, oh great, I'll meet with the team, and then I said, no, this is first live event, and then. And then you're like, it would be great to have music. And I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? And now we've got my brother coming to be in the band. Like, it just keeps growing in these fascinating organic ways. And Ashley comes on, and then like all those things that I was just thinking, oh my God, I promised the world to Darante. I don't know how I'm going to deliver on this event. And then Ashley shows up and is able to take care of some of those logistics. I was like, that was just a huge weight gone. So, and then, Getty comes in for the drums.
Yes.
We've got, and then TK's got the place so that we don't have to rent a place out.
Oh, man.
It just all kind of started to come together.
Man, watching you light up, just talk about it that was the highlight of my day right there, man, because that's really what I try to stress in our Sunday sessions. Anytime I'm talking about community, I know it sounds hard, y'all. And the mechanics and the logistics, they will get heavy. But I'm telling you, if you just get the math right, that's really all that matters. Because the power of community, it isn't in having some special group of people. It's just people, period, because people are special. Like every person you meet is a bag of surprises, man. Some good ones, some bad.
I was so skeptical, I gotta say.
Yes,
I remember like we had the call, we're getting on board, and I remember it was just so clear to me when you said, okay, how'd it go? And I said, honestly, Darante, it felt like one of those movies where a bunch of like criminals are assembling for a heist, and we don't trust each other, but it looks like by the end of the movie, like we're gonna be best friends, kind of vibe. And it was just, I didn't expect that.
It's been beautiful. I enjoyed watching the pictures of y'all's first dinner date. I made that sound weird, but your first dinner meetup, and just seeing people come together and truly start getting to know each other. And I think a really beautiful phenomenon that we've been able to see over the past 2 or 3 weeks is that people are starting to express genuine interest in each other. That's something like I've absolutely loved watching the conversation in WhatsApp over the past week for sure, because they've kind of like a little fires gotten lit up in under there. Essence, who's a part of the group, she's already started inviting other people.
Oh yeah.
Outside,
Good.
and the people. Felix, I don't mean to say your name because I didn't get your permission first, but they don't know you, so I'm gonna say it anyway. But Felix has been a wonderful addition to the group. Like, we really do have some wonderful people in there. And again, that's people coming together. But no, like, it was scary, right? We get together, but what I do want to say, I love the fact that you were always like plus oneing. Like, that's how I like to run. Like that. Okay. And because I do kind of present myself. I'm open to variables. I'm not married to anything. When I walk into a room, I want to see the possibilities. And if there's a possibility that we didn't think of, as long as everybody in the room is on board to make it happen, I'm a runner. Let's do it. I want to see what's going to happen, because, it's life. That's a part of the adventure. And then there's something about doing that with the team, whether you hit the goal out of the park or not. There's something about doing that with the team and being able to have that moment afterwards. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Oh man.
Yeah.
So now you mentioned I wanted music, right? And I said, it'd be really cool if we can get some music. And I could see the look on your face, like, And then, like, you sent me like the budget stuff, and it was like the apps, and I was like, yeah, that's maybe next time we'll do music, And then I think it was just one meeting, and we just decided, well, let's just ask people. Let's ask people in our little growing community and see what happened. And then I think the first we got was Getty. Well, Getty was like, yeah, I play the drums, and then he gives us like 3 videos of him like literally shredding it, like full kit. Like, I'm like, oh yes. And then you hit me up, was it last week earlier this week? And it's like, man, you're not gonna believe, my brother is willing. So we got a bass, we got a drummer. I think someone said TK plays acoustic guitar, and I'm like, yeah, let's do it. We're going. But that's just asking people, the people in the room. And man, the power of one of the most easiest cells of community is just having someone to do stuff with.
Yeah. That reminds me, like, I've had these experiences like this, really, where it feels like it's not about me believing in myself, but who believes in me. Like I was on this consulting gig once, and it was tanking, and I just felt like I thought I had to give money back to the client. And I remember talking to my friend Sam, and she said she heard my story, what I was doing, and she just goes, "They are lucky to have you." Wow. And it shifted everything in my head. Wow. And so it was her belief, right? And I think that's the power of what community can do. Is
yes.
Like, but all the self-help stuff is like, believe in yourself, believe in yourself.
No, you're so right. That's one of those little small things that I started challenging the secular community to look at. We have a lot of critiques of the church world, and rightfully so. But I think sometimes in our critique of the church world, we overlook some of the incredible things that they do. And I'm not even talking about like the super obvious ones, like missions programs and food and homeless and stuff like that. But one of the small things that the mega churches, especially like the more charismatic ones, are really, really good at is helping you feel like you're special from the moment you arrive on that campus.
Totally.
And I always ask people, like, where else can you get that? Where else can you get that feeling that, like, no matter what type of week I had, when I walk on that campus, my mentors' churches, like whether it was the Word Church, whether it was Rock City, Elevation, whatever, when you walked on that campus, we were going to have some big ass signs out there. We're so glad you're here. And, we're going to run up to you. We're going to hug you. We're going to respect your distance. We're going to read your body language. We're going to let you know that this moment exists for you. You deserve it. You're special. Ask me anything. And call it love bombing, call it whatever you want to call it. I call it helpful. I saw how it helped people. I saw people who dealt with, depression on a consistent basis and who couldn't afford, any type of real help. I could only wonder what life would be like for them if they didn't have that weekly check-in where they knew, they're going to hug me when I get there. Yeah. And it's going to be genuine and it's going to feel good. Someone's going to ask me how my week was. And not only that community does exist there as a resource as well.
Yeah.
And so those people know if it gets too hard and I feel like I'm drowning, my church may have this system for me.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of going back to what you said earlier about like, I don't think that we have to limit that type of activity to just around believing the same thing.
Yes.
If we're all just trying to become something better, then why can't we just build around that?
Totally.
And that's ultimately the whole move of Bridge City.
Well, and it honestly, it's a hypothesis. It's an experiment.
Yes. Oh, thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
That's my language, man. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. That's why I want several campuses. That's why I want them everywhere. And I want them learning from each other. I want San Diego, Los Angeles, Austin, Charlotte, and I want them saying, hey, we tried this bombed, or like we tried this worked. And I want like to me, I look at it as an evolving organism. And the more that organism grows, the more information it's able to consume and share within that network. And then that's what makes us powerful as a community. We go from being able to meet those personal needs, those emotional needs, those psychological needs, to then actually being able to impact systemic needs, to being able to create larger solutions just by those different cells operating over there. If we have 25 campuses just scattered through the US alone and they're all doing well, then that's enough. That's enough of a resource system to create something systemic for homeless issues, to create something systemic for people who are at risk youth, people who are at use for being displaced from their homes, which that's a real battleground, but you don't get there overnight. But communities become a catalyst, not just for those solutions, but just like for a plethora of them. It's too easy not to do. It starts with these small things of just helping each other feel better about life, feel better about being here. And then you feel like you're able to participate. You feel like you're able to contribute, that you're able to make a difference. And then after a while, even if you never become the person who does something great, you're a part of an engine that's doing something. And it's able to do it because you're a part of that engine.
Yeah.
That's life-giving,
Totally.
Man, this has been a good conversation. Now,
Yeah.
so we got about 10 minutes left. Is there anything that you were excited about talking about today that I have not hit?
Oh yeah, I had a few notes because I remember you said in the email that talking about like where I see the world moving.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean I'm seeing these interesting trends of what I would call hyper individualism. Yeah. There's so you have your own feed, your own algorithms. We're getting more and more siloed, I think, in our worlds. Which at the end of the day, that means not just like actually different realities we're living in.
Yes.
And I think you'll get a kick out of this. I think the rapture is real in the sense that there's going to be like the online and offline world, and there's going to be like an exodus from this kind of brain rot world of just being online and watching and watching and watching. Oh, yeah. And it reminds me of this episode from South Park where there's the girl, the classmate. She's on the bridge and she's looking over the bridge, and all the kids are saying, "Don't do it, please, don't do it." She's like, "No, I have to. This is my only option." And she doesn't jump; she throws her phone.
I love that. Yes.
And I think there's going to be a movement of people who are like, you know what? Facebook isn't the real world. Instagram isn't the real world. This is the real world. And it'll look like those people are disappearing from the online world.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. Because we actually do need this. We need to rapture away from a lot of social media.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man. I think you and I had started this conversation a little while back. I forgot which Sunday session it was, but you had messaged me like right afterwards, and it was like, "Did you think of feeds?" Because we were talking about menu and stuff like that, and I was like, "Man." But the more I think about feeds, I have a lot of people that I care about, like I sincerely care about, and I can tell that their engagement with social media is not healthy for them right now. And I like the way that you said it, living in different realities.
Yeah.
Because I think one of the hardest things that I see, it's hard for me to see right now, is people are living in realities that are not even their realities.
Yeah.
Social media is creating these warped ideals of other people, and then you convince yourself that that's the world you live in, even though you literally do not live in that world at all. You only see that world when you're here, you know. But it is really like it's kind of going back to what I said about myself earlier, the way I lived the first part of my life. I am so caught up in all of these other big missions, and the mission of me is being left undone. And I see that happening with so many people that I care about, because we've gotten caught up in a lot of these random feeds, brain rot feeds.
And I think this goes full circle to the Matrix. I think
Yes.
this is the Matrix, is when you're stuck online in that world. And like what we're doing here is pulling people out of that Matrix into real connection, into real community, into real life.
Yes. And it feels so good. Like that's it, man. Holy, like that. I mean, y'all, if we were live right now, I mean, we're all live, but if we were live and like we were in our own little space, we had our little campus set up, I definitely have some cinematic pads playing right now. And I just be like, we're just going to breathe in that for the next 5 minutes, because that's a real reflective moment. It's getting that real connection back. One thing that I can say as a sociologist is that for the majority of us, those missing points in your life where you feel like you're failing, you feel like you're not enough, you feel like you don't have enough, it's just a connection issue. That's just somebody you're missing in your life to remind you of how awesome you are.
Wow.
Wow.
That is good.
That is like, it felt good. I want more of this. I want more. Like, I am good at tearing down Christianity because I was in it for so long. I am really, really good at that. I got a comedic side. It can be dark. So I'm really good at making people feel like dumbasses. Like, oh, I consider myself an expert in that. But what I absolutely love is watching people feel like they can do anything. Because having more people like that in the world, that's how we solve the problems.
Yeah.
Sometimes people get upset with me when I say stuff like, hey, you can do anything. I get it. It sounds ableist to some people, and I don't mean that. I know there are people who have limitations. I do. But I also know that there are way more people who can do so much more and don't believe it about themselves. And that's who I'm trying to reach, because if we have a few more of those at the table, it does make it easier for all of us. I like to try to remind people, like, one of the biggest problems with global society right now is that there are way too many people comfortable with a small percentage handling everything. We have to realize that we're all in this together. We're going to have to come in. And I'm not beating anybody up. I'm telling you this because I think that's the message you've never heard. It's like, no, this is the king's world. This is the emperor's world. This is God's world. And now, like, no, it's ours. We need your voice. We need your contribution. So damn it, no, I need you to feel like you can do everything.
Well, yeah, but I love the way you start with it about the, like freeing people with it, like the way you can deconstruct and with humor, and you can tell that you could tear you could tear people apart if you wanted to. You're like one of those dogs that's really sweet, but if you pissed that dog off, it could tear you apart.
A whole fool in here, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think I think starting with freedom is really key. And for me, one of the things I've realized is, like, this people do all kinds of big things with the X pill, but I remember this one woman saying she felt embarrassed that she wanted to use it to get herself to finally send an invoice out. And I said, no, like that's where you're not free.
Yep.
And so it doesn't have to be saving the world. Like, we'll get to that, right? But like, where are you not free right now? What's on your mind? What's circling in thoughts? What is the thing you're avoiding doing? Like, that's where the freedom starts.
Come on now. That's it. And that freedom is so important. It is so important. Well, man, Robert, if you could leave our audience with one thing before we go today, what would it be?
That I was kind of landing the plane on that, in the sense that, like, I really have to credit my friend Renita for this, because she was one of these people who did a lot of self-help kind of work.
Yeah.
And she said suddenly she was getting great work, getting married, having kid, all stuff. I said, okay, which program did you do? Tell me, what was the book? What was the class? What'd you do? And she goes, none of those things. She said, all I did was I put together a list of everything I had to do and started with the stuff I didn't want to do and made my way up. And she said, that's the only thing I did differently.
That's
and
wild.
I was like, that's where the juice is for this. Of like, people think, it's a huge project and doing this or that. But I think it's that. And I do want to close on reading one thing.
Ooh.
So this is something I posted in a community that I'm in that got a lot of attention. And this is kind of like, you asked me what I'm about, where things are going, where I see the world going. This summarizes it, this is my hot take. I said, fun is an underrated skill that will become highly valued. As the world over-indexes on entertainment, which is passive, curated pleasure, the counterbalance will be fun, which is active, co-created joy.
Yes.
As people tire of extreme opinions, clickbait, and outrage activism, they hunger for the childlike innocence and clear-minded focus of games, participatory events, conversational alchemy, and localized travel. In the overextended hyper now, the ennui of nihilism will be replaced by the people and brands who collaborate to solve the riddle, how can we make new memories?
Oh, I love that. How can we make new memories? It's like, damn it. Okay, we got to land this plane, but damn it, that was too good. I love that. That's why I'm super duper excited about having you on the team. I'm looking forward to the products and the events that we're going to roll out together. I think we're going to create a lot of magic, man. Because I can already just kind of see from the chat that people were really vibing off of today's conversation.
Oh, good.
This is where the conversation is at. This is why Bridge City is so valuable. This is why I think this is such an attractive movement right now. Is because this really does speak to where the heart of people are, and just the ideas of coming together to make new memories, because man, we do. And it's, new memories, that's the doorway into new histories.
Yes.
Yes.
That is gold. That is gold.
Yes. Oh my goodness. See, yeah, we're gonna. I was already excited about coming to California, but damn it, I almost want to extend my stay just so I can have more time, because damn, this is going to be good.
Yeah.
But we're going to be doing a lot more of this. I got to get you back here on the channel, of course. We're going to be. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on you and Ashley right now, because the whole world is now looking at SoCal, and so y'all can't fail now. Like, y'all actually have to be a real campus. There are people in Texas that are counting on y'all.
Well, I will say right now, this is what you said earlier to some of the groups, is like we're stress testing everything. Yep. And I got to say, we've come up with some call formats that have worked really well. And so we've done a lot of the trial and error for you. If you're watching this and you want to start a group, like, you don't have to have all the awkwardness of figuring out. Just like reach out. We'll hook you up and make it easy for you to start the group.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, y'all, thank y'all so much for hanging out with us today. Again, Robert, thank you for being here. Thank you for all the support, your partnership. I'm looking forward to everything we do. Ashley, thank you for being here today in the chat. I got to get you on now, because now we got to put the spotlight on you too. We do have an amazing team. We have some amazing people in our community. We have Kyle, we have Natalie, we have Essence, we have David, we have Getty, we have Elle. Like, I'm meeting so many different people now. TK. And by the end of this month, we'll be rolling out a new platform. I'm not going to say too much, because I don't want to put too much pressure on Ashley right now, but we're rolling out a new platform. Ashley is kind of leading that march, and is doing an excellent job of it. But that is going to, for the Bridge City crew, the promise you're going to get from me once we hit this platform is you're going to get to see more of me, because we'll have a place where we can all see each other. And so I know there's at least all of our members, y'all are going to be seeing me at least once a week. And for people who are joining because they're ready to take more leadership roles, and I'm talking about those people who want to offer secular services, provide those services, you're going to be seeing a lot of me. And people who want to host and lead local campuses, you're going to be seeing a lot of me. So we're getting ready to shift from that mode where we're pretty much, once we get to this new platform, we're going to have office hours. So there will be this situation if you're connecting because like, hey, I want to connect with Darante. I want to learn from him on this leadership aspect on Bridge City. I want to build a community. I'm not going to be leaving you in the dark on this one. You're going to be seeing me at least once a week. I've already started trying to build it into my schedule, but that's because now we'll have a campus. And so I'm excited about it. It'll be our little global hub.
Yeah.
Y'all, Robert, where can they find more information about you at? Where should they go to get you?
Yeah, I'm at robertrichman.com, Robert, RICHMAN.com. And if you're curious about XPill, it's XPILL.com, XPill.com.
Yes. And please go check out XPill. Read some of those testimonials for yourselves. I believe you have the video testimonials on there as well, right?
Yeah, tons of them.
Yes. So go check those out. Really good story, man. And then
Thank you.
Also you can go look at just type his name in YouTube, just Robert Richman in YouTube. You're going to find some of his keynotes. One of my favorite ones that he does is like, I think it's Leading in Chaos, something like that.
Yeah.
It'll be chaos on the thumbnail. You want to watch it. Trust me. It's amazing.
Thank you.
But we love y'all. Thank y'all all for being here today. I'm going to get ready to close us out. I got to get to my right button here. This has been such a great conversation. I've got
a lot of fun.
Discombobulated, man. Well, of course, I guess the best thing to do now is to show this promo because for those of you, if you really enjoyed this conversation today, don't you know that Robert is going to be speaking at Rise with me? So hello, that's another opportunity to hear him, see there, man, shake his hand in person. Come be a part of that experience. Again, you do not have to live in California to be a part of this experience. Come as you are from wherever you are. All right. We love to see you there. And again, I'll be in Mississippi next week. So I cannot wait to see y'all then. Thank y'all for hanging out with us today. Until next time, be the bridge and keep rising. When I think about what community is, when I think about what the church was for many people, I think about community as a service. I know so many people right now whose passion was media. And if it weren't for their church, they wouldn't be able to pursue that passion. I know so many people whose passion is music, and if it weren't for their church, they wouldn't have a place to practice that passion. I know people whose passion is communication and finding ways to inspire and motivate other people. And if it weren't for their churches,
Take another shot at me.
church shouldn't be the only place that meets those needs. It shouldn't be the only place that nurtures our gifts, platforms our voices, and empowers our living. That's why Bridge City Global is building community and creating the space to help you keep rising. Join us October 25th or the 26th in Venice or San Diego, your choice. Our local Bridge City community is having their initial liftoff weekend. And as a way of celebrating, we're hosting our very first Rise event. This is for you. We're about to shed the weight of limiting beliefs and open ourselves to clarity, purpose, and possibility. Through powerful voices and intentional community, you'll not only rediscover your own strength, but also the belonging that comes when we choose to rise side by side. And for those interested in being a part of this global community, go ahead and tap in now. And you may get an invite to our Friday evening and Sunday morning activities while you're in Cali. Don't miss this moment. Add Liftoff Weekend to your calendar and be ready to rise. Register now.
Take another shot.